Sustainable Development Goals, 17 Ways to Act. Much has been said about sustainable development, but what is it exactly? The expression first appeared in a UN report in 1987, along with the question that is still today's burning issue: how to satisfy our requirements without jeopardizing the future of generations to come. To address the problem, the 193 UN nations member states adopted Agenda 2030, its Sustainable Development Program, on September 25, 2015. It's a roadmap containing 17 Sustainable Development Goals to achieve by 2030. Have you ever stopped to think what poverty really is? Poverty is more than a lack of resources. It implies malnutrition, lack of access to education, and basic services discrimination. Thousands of issues our world reveals. Chilling statistics, for instance: 1 in every 4 children under the age of 5 still don't reach the adequate height for their age. There are so many people who still live in extreme poverty, meaning they survive on very little money a day. So, what can we do to help achieve the goal of no poverty? First, with it always, start local actions you can contribute by raising awareness about poverty through interviewing people, poverty, fighting against poverty, spreading words on social media, and signing petitions. You can always also volunteer for NGOs that provide basic shelters, homes, food, education, and then manage local communities for people. In poverty, there are many initiatives such as Peace, which work to improve the situation for vulnerable groups of individuals confronting and impacted by the poor socioeconomic situations. End hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Did you know hunger and malnutrition prevents people from improving their life? Means it's like a spiral that goes round and round. Over climate change reduces the resources that we depend on to feed ourselves. Today, more than 800 million people suffer from hunger in the world. To end this by 2030, we must start today. There are simple things we could do to end the hunger of our country, starting with simple act of donating. You can research or donate to your local or national food banks, which provides basic necessities. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. A healthier lifestyle, it seems easy, right? But which, nowadays, more than 6 million children die before reaching 5 years old, and only half of the women in developing countries have access to the sanitary assistance page. It's alarming. In order to make profits, it's necessary to achieve universal sanitary coverage, make the medicines and the essential vaccines affordable.
This is obviously a very serious problem. Many more efforts are needed to eradicate a range of diseases and address health issues. The UN focuses on providing efficient funding of health systems, increasing access to doctors, reducing pollution, and improving sanitation and hygiene. But actions for the school can start very small. You can spread awareness about different forms of protection that can be utilized to combat certain health issues. For example, wearing masks during flu season or when you are sick, and washing hands on a regular basis.
Quality education. Quality education is the first step to improving lives of people. Being a great child, like all the children enrolled in the primary schools in developed countries, but many still don't go to school. They lack the necessity tools to find the decent job and depend itself to exploitation. It may seem challenging to improve education systems, but as always, we can start by educating ourselves about this topic. For example, you can research about education levels in your country and take a look at the statistics surroundings. Then you can also look at plans that are already in place to elevate the level of education.
Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. If we stop and think equality is the right to be different and even thought, it seems like a fight. In reality, gender equality is nothing but the basis to achieve a productive, sustainable, and peaceful world. However, even though it's a fundamental right, there isn't a real quality of race. In terms of talking actions, gender inequality is a rather difficult problem to face on our own. However, we can start by spotting examples of gender inequality. We know about first you could investigate gender discrimination in the workplace and politics in your country, such as the gender wage gap and politic participation, and devise methods to integrate women into the society. You can ensuring ability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Open the tap and observe it for 3 seconds. Do you feel it is inaccessible? More than a third of the world's population suffers water scarcity, and if we add climate change that don't have access to clean water, don't you think that now we should all be able to drink decent water? It's to achieve this actual luckily water is something we can taste and clean about complex professional. Toast, toast. You don't have to be a scientist to do what it takes to clean water in your environment. After all, it's all about Christine installing simple wearing building system and taps and waterways to ensure that the water you drink is safe and clean and incredible helpful. You can also take action by tasting the water quality of the source. In the school and nearby producing water tasted with high speed hardest and the presence of harmful chemicals balancing the results can help start awareness.
Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Did you know that until 1850, cooking is done by scrubbing two stones together? It's not that long ago. Nowadays, you can't imagine our daily lives without electricity. But more than 1.2 billion people live without, most of them in Africa and Asia, without electricity. Clinics can't work, students can't study, and entrepreneurs can't direct their competitive companies. We can all contribute at our own skill, saving electricity and aiming for.
We can start to explore how renewable energy works by designing and researching on our own. To alleviate the issue, for example, try researching about climate energy sources and utilizing the findings to create your own renewable energy carrying devices, such as pizza box ovens, hand-powered radios, and potato batteries. If you are interested in creative activities, you can design a house that will be powered solely by renewable energy. This can include solar, wind, hydrogeothermal, biomass, tidal energy, and more. Passively even create your own renewable energy source.
8. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Choose a job that you like and you won't have to work ever again, despite the improvement of the work conditions. 800 million people, more than the whole of Europe, still receive 2 cents a day in salary. That isn't a job. That is injustice and sustainable and inclusive economic growth that benefits everybody and doesn't damage the environment can only be achieved by creating decent
To solve
employment.
this issue, taking action for this goal might sound difficult, especially if you're a student, due to the calamity of the situation. Still, we can always start with understanding how the economy works. Try researching about economics, specifically your country's economic history and growth, and visiting financial centers as the first step to understanding this goal, and the background of your country's expected economic future, understanding the methods of solving related issues that your local government is currently using. Build resilient infrastructures. Promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. It sometimes seems strange that we share our planet with different people in such different ways. Many rural area of developing country. There are millions of people who don't have resources, cultural production or services and roads. Can you imagine living like this? Everybody have access to sustainable quality infrastructures and work in sustainable industry. This will improve productivity, the access of the basic services, and will help protect our ecosystem. Everything is linked. We have to act now. Start by researching more in depth about what people who work towards achieving this SDG actually do worldwide. Or you could start more locally, such as exploring the potential uses of artificial intelligence, AI, and the Internet of Things, the IoT in the workplace and society. AI has the potential to replace people, allowing empty jobs to be filled, and could change the future of human resource allocation. You can also explore how the least developed countries have immense potential for industrialization. Reducing inequality within and among countries. How many types of inequality are you aware? Did you ever stop thinking about it? Income inequality shows how alarming it is. That reaches 10% passes among half of the world. Moreover, there are inequalities based on gender, age, sexual orientation, class, ethnic origin, and religion. Why should we stop this? Because inequalities weaken growth, encourage poverty, and reduce the feeling of fulfillment and self-esteem of people.
Now, there are various courses of action you can take in addressing this issue. And since it is very wide-ranging topic, there are some things you can consider. You can investigate different forms of qualities, such as harassment, suicide, and racism. You can also explore different ways, for example by designing and implementing barrier-free products such as braille portable ramps.
Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. If you think of some amazing cities in the world, how many come to your mind? Plenty, right? Nowadays, more than half of the population live in urban areas. The expansion of cities not only has allowed quick progress, but also has brought problems, such as the bad management of natural resources, pollution, and lack of basic services. The forecast is by 2050, the equivalent of 3 planets will be necessary to maintain our lives. That's why we should convert ours.
So you can do things like explore the current unexpected future demographic pyramid of your city, state, country, or region. Or if you want to work together with your friends, start a school-wide sustainable school project by planting flowers and trees and
Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. We all desire the pleasant life for us and for our loved ones, but it seems the only way to enjoy our well-being is the excessive consumption of natural resources. And the estimate for 2050 is that we will need 3 planets to maintain this. But what if there were not a real option? There are many aspects of consumption that with simple changes can have great impact on our society, such as reducing up to one-third of the world's food trash, or saving steel, and saving $12 a year by having high-performance light bulbs.
There are few things you can do about the scope. In fact, this one could be something pretty exciting. For example, we can explore the problem of overpackaging and plastic waste and just find viable alternatives for plastics such as biodegradable plastic.
Take urgent actions to combat climate change and its impacts. We are so used to hearing people speak about climate change that we sometimes forget that it affects all countries and all people. It is a phenomenon that threatens our future and continues to increase. Currently, the emission of gas due to the greenhouse effect are 50% superior than in 1990. We have to combat it through the innovation and investment in energetic efficiency and development with low carbon emissions. By it, we could carry out a more sustainable and respectful economic activity.
To solve, even you can help to combat climate change. Some action you might consider are creating the software that can calculate carbon emission of an individual or organization in 1 year with inputs such as transportation, energy use, consumption of habits, waste, and collecting or analyzing data on various samples. You can also analyze trends in climate change, notably temperature rise, and using existing data to project expected future trends, including when the temperature will rise by 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial revolution levels. You can also spread awareness through creating posters, holding a class debate, discussion on how to combat climate change, creating the new educational video, and broadcasting.
Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and submarines resources for sustainable development. The sea isn't just a paradise that we can get. Oceans and seas regulate climate, promote oxygen, and give us food. Moreover, they generate employment for more than 200 million people. They are fundamental to counterweight the climate change. However, pollution and destruction of its habits damage submarine life and our own, and the increase of climate disasters is directly related.
Here are some actions you can take. For example, you can volunteer in local or international groups such as picking up waste on beaches, cleaning lakes and rivers, and protecting sea life. Overall, you can also start spreading awareness about the life below water through creating posters, holding a class debate or discussion on how to protect sea life.
Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification and halt and reverse land degradation, and halve biodiversity loss. Forests and mountains are the main sources of food. They provide air and clean water. There are 1.6 billion of people depend on forest for their subsistence, but they are threatened by our activity. Each year, 13 million forest sectors disappear, and 22% of species at risk of extinction. Can you imagine having to describe what the forests were like? That should never have to happen. Something very valuable is at risk. We should boost the use of sustainable terrestrial ecosystem.
Actions to protect the environment can start with you now that you've learned about the importance of protecting wildlife and forests. Here are some actions you can take. You can volunteer in local or international groups and pick up waste in forests, plant trees and plants in the local community, and petition to protect wildlife. Spreading awareness about life on land through creating posters or holding class debates or discussion on how to prevent wildlife or creating an educational educational video and broadcasting it just like this video will also be impactful, or you can donate to organizations such as the WWF to protect endangered species, promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Sometimes talking about peace is andina. We also have to work to achieve some regions of the world have stable levels of peace and good governments, while others are in a permanent state of conflict, violence, and non-governmental. Most of them are situated in countries in the African continent and in the Middle East. Only 10 countries in the world are free of conflicts of all types. On the other hand, corruption simultaneously harms democracy and the rule of the law. It leads to human rights violations and has an impact on women and children in a very accentuated way. Necessary to promote society based on transparency and good government with transparent.
As a student, it can be hard to rectify such issues on our own, but it is possible to do something like modeling a United Nations session within a class, or classmates, also called delegates. Each presenting a specific country can debate about institutions, justice systems, and peace. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development.
This goal is really important, as all countries and communities must work together to accomplish these goals. Even if one country achieves all of them, it is not effective, as the SDGs are created for all people to work towards. Since some countries need more help in achieving the goals and others.
So now that we know the importance of these SDGs, how can we cooperate with the other generate community to spread the awareness of these goals? Well, first you could find ways to promote the awareness of all these SDGs, and you could do this by taking another look at or take action section in our videos. For example, we could spread awareness about climate change by creating an educational video. Shall we start? Participate, and we can do it.